What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for listening to Your Ex-Drinking Buddy. My name is Brennan Tassif. I'll be your host. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast. Check out the merch store at brennantcomedy.com/merch-store. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. We'll put the shorts up there, the full video, the whole thing. Thank you so much for listening. I love it. I hope you love it. Subscribe on Patreon, too. We do bonus episodes. I do Tales from the Restaurant, where I talk about celebrities I've waited on and whether they're assholes or not, which is super fun. Also, we do a pre-show banter for my other show, Cheers from the Press Box with Joe Dorville. A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on over there, too. Make sure you just subscribe everywhere, just all over the place. I greatly appreciate it. And if you're not leaving the mean comments, thank you for that. Maybe leave a couple nice ones.
Grab me a beer and grab him a coke. We bout to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brennan T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. I'm your host. There's going to be a graphic there. He's just looking at the pictures like, cool, man. I am your host, Brennan Tassif. If you're new to the program, quick rundown of the show. I used to be everyone's favorite drinking buddy. It was my favorite thing to do. Hang out with friends, get drunk, do drugs, get in all sorts of trouble, and then reminisce about those crazy stories. I'm sober now, but it's still one of my favorite things to do. Hang out with somebody and reminisce about the crazy old days. Most weeks I will be joined by a guest. This week is no exception. All the way from New York City, Ray Zawodni.
What's going on, brother?
That felt like a WWF, well, now WWE intro there.
Yeah,
I love
it's very
that, dude.
high energy, man.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having me back, dude. I haven't been back in a while.
Yeah, episode 92. We're at like 2 years is going to be like 224.
Jesus.
It's been a little while.
This is nice, man. It's nice to be back. I think I was doing your podcast before you even started having video.
Yeah. Yeah, because I even mentioned in the episode, I re-listened to it, and I was like, well, the listeners can't see. Now they can, man.
The good old days. Now they're like, oh, yeah, he is fat. We listened to that old episode, and we were like, nah, he doesn't
sounds like a handsome man.
Yeah, he doesn't sound like he has, like, fat guy voice.
That is a thing.
Or that laugh, like.
The wheeze?
The fat laugh.
The wheeze, yeah, man. Before we get too far into anything, because this will come out 2 days after you release your special, so plug everything up front. Let everybody know where it can get it.
January 10th, my debut comedy special coming out for free on my YouTube channel. I'm so proud of the material in this show. It has been like, I've been doing stand-up 11, 12 years, whatever it is, and this has been 12 years in the making.
Beautiful.
So a lot of people worked really hard on it outside of myself, and myself included. So please go check that out. It is free. Tell your friends, share it, watch it, like it. And I can't wait for people to
What's
see
your YouTube? It'll be in the show notes. Everyone can just click it. But what is your handle for YouTube?
It's just my name. It's at Ray Zawodni.
Ray Zawodni. Love it.
Zawodni. So
Same thing on social media, right?
Social
Instagram,
media
everything?
at Ray Zawodni. I kept it simple. The last name's confusing enough.
I also, the first episode we did when we first met, because we were introduced through Colin Chamberlain, very funny comedian, also from Pittsburgh. And I remember he's like, you need to have my friend Ray on. Ray. Like, he kept calling you Ray. And then when I DM'd you on Instagram, I looked at that last name. And the first time I do the intro, I go, Ray Zawodni.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
and you were like, points for trying, man.
Well, the worst I've ever got on stage was this dude brought me up. He was like, Ray Zawodni or some shit like that. And said the or some shit like that. So... That's always.
But now you have a fucking special. Now people will know.
Let's hope so.
Where'd you shoot it? Pittsburgh?
No, I shot it at Soul Joel's.
Okay.
In Pottstown, PA. It was just. I don't have necessarily any following there, but I've been there enough, and like, I don't know. I just got on that stage like the second or third time in his new room. Shout out to Joel Richardson. It's his place, and I was like, this is where it's got to be.
Yeah.
It felt like it was like a tight little fucking room.
Like a kill box.
A kill box.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was, to be honest with you, there's a special, Robert Kelly special called Kill Box.
Yeah.
Joel designed his room after that room.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually, because it's an old armed forces term. kill box. Like, you know, you get.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. But I had never heard it as like a comedy term until he started doing his promotion and like going on all the podcasts and talking about it and stuff. And I was like, oh, that is a great way to explain it. Like it is like a kill box. So those rooms are always so much fun to me because we've done the bigger rooms. Like some of the clubs in New York and stuff where they're like real open and everything. And it's like, oh, this looks beautiful. But then you get in there and it's like, I can't get the laughs together. Like, come on, man.
I don't think it's just I prefer comedy 100 people or less.
Yeah.
I know that's me coming from a guy who can't draw 100 people. You know, it sounds like, you know, like the hump, you know, like, like I like having a small dick. It's perfect. You know, that doesn't,
No girl
I can
ever
run
complains.
fast. Yeah. But no, it's a thing where it's like, it's a medium that works best that way.
You know, and I completely agree because I've done rooms that are a little, like I said, that are bigger and then sometimes it just gets disjointed. And I think one of the most underrated rooms in the whole city is Greenwich Village Comedy Club.
It is.
Because it's so tight and it's so small. And if you can get 60 people in that room, it feels like a sold out, like huge show. Yeah. And then because I say this because the best tape I've ever gotten in New York, the best set I've ever had was there. And it was random. It was just like a show that my buddy put me on and I showed up. And you know that when your first bit hits and the room was sold out, so it was super packed. And I was like, I would just like said hello and they were like, bah!
Well, and it's that moment when you're like, you're mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
was
own
just
you.
like, oh, this is over.
Yeah.
So shooting the special because we're going to get into some stories. You're doing Dry January, which is going to be fun.
A dry January with a caveat.
Oh, what's the caveat?
It's the most white trash Pittsburgh thing possible.
What is it?
I'm doing Dry January, but I am allowed to drink alcohol during Steelers playoff games.
I knew what it was. I knew. As soon as you said it, I was like, what is it? And then I was like, oh, it's football.
Because I did Dry January last year, made it through all of January and then some. And the Steelers played the Bills, and I had to watch them get the shit kicked out of them sober.
God, that's tough.
And it was like, God, I could use some.
Because you're a huge Steelers guy.
Die hard.
Does this, because I've obviously been sober for a long time now. I will stop watching Jags games now because I don't have like at least I'm getting fucked up with my friends kind of thing. Like I literally will be like, I'm out. Like I'm going to the gym. Like if we go down by like 3 scores, I'm like, I can't do, especially like this season with all the injuries and stuff. I'm like, I can't, like I'm so emotional about it. Like I will start screaming and Tracy's like, calm down. And I'm like, I have to get out of this apartment.
Yeah. So you can't get it up for Mac Jones?
No, it's interesting you say that because I've actually had more fun watching Mac Jones than Trevor because of the expectations. So like when the season started and we had our full roster and everyone was healthy, I was like, oh, AFC South, easy. And then when they were playing poorly, like we lost that first game by a fumble into the end zone by Travis Etienne. And you go, okay, that was a blip.
Yeah.
That was that was weird. Huh, guys? That was right. That was weird.
Yeah.
And then you lose the next week kind of the same way. And you're like, oh, this isn't good. But then my expectations were so smashed. Now when I watch Mac, I'm like, he's having fun out there. I think he's high. This is great.
See,
but for the Steelers, it's different because
I've
you
been
guys
lucky
have
enough
this
to not have
reputation. Of.
So I went to the Steelers game on Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And it was the first game that I can remember going to where I was like, I'm going to behave at this game.
Okay.
Where I'm not going to get shit-faced. And I took I got like pretty good tickets off my buddy. I took my mom and I took my now fiance.
Hey, congrats. Shout out.
I just proposed to her a few days before that. And I drove. So I was like, I'm going to have a couple of drinks at the tailgate and maybe a beer in the stadium, and then I'm good. And I actually want to watch. I think we got a chance against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
We did not. And
are those tailgates insane?
They are so fun.
Because there's like, we've played the Steelers a few times in Jacksonville, and it's like half Steelers fans. I'm like, this team has a following, dude.
One of my least favorite games of all time is I went to that divisional round playoff game. I got front row fucking, like,
you
the
did.
best seats I ever got. and
That was the Saxonville era, baby.
And they came out. The end
That was a
score
good game, though.
It's like 45-42.
Yeah, it was a good game.
But you guys got a lead that was just like impossible to come back from.
Yeah.
But my mom has not been to a Steeler game probably in like 15 years.
Okay.
So I brought her to that, and her and my girlfriend, my brother went. You know, his family went. We had like a whole it was like really, the tailgate was amazing. My brother like cooked breakfast on the grill, but my mom and fiance got so fucking drunk that we get into the stadium, and I am the most sober I've probably ever been in the Steeler stadium. And it's clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right.
Yeah.
So it is.
You're just stuck in the middle.
My mom didn't sit the entire game. Stood, twirling her towel,
Terrible
screaming, whistling, losing her mind. But also, you may hear that and be like, wow, your mom's like a huge football fan. No. She's leaning down to me every couple of minutes like, do we got the ball? Who got the ball? Well, what quarter is it? What's the score? So she's hammered and doesn't have her glasses on. So I'm like, these fucking seats were a waste, you know? So she's twirling to the point where, like, she's hitting this lady in front of her and, like, getting the stink eye every once in a while. But it's like, hey, it's a Steeler game. You got to expect to get hit with a towel.
Yeah. And you being of sober mind, are you, like, just in your own head, like, I fucking hate this? Or are you kind of trying to have a good time?
I'm a guy where I'm annoyed because the Steelers are getting killed.
Yeah.
I'm like, my girl is so hammered, she's like sleeping on me.
Yeah. So that's fine. I would much rather someone be passed out sleeping than screaming and whistling and yelling.
Or she's waking up and like she got like annoyed with me because she was like, take a picture with me here at the game so we can have a picture. I'm like, there's 30 seconds left in the second quarter. I can't. So then she's like,
I'm not taking a picture.
So then she's like, because I'm weird about pictures in general.
Me too.
But then she's like, you never want to take a picture of me. So now I'm dealing with that. And then my mom over there. And then at one point, my mom and her leave together. And I'm like nervous though, because I also have the thing where like with both of them, I'm like protective over them.
Yeah,
you know?
of course.
It's my
100%.
lady, it's my mom. And like, so like, I'm not necessarily like, this is miserable. I'm like, who am I going to fucking have to fight? You know?
Who's dying today?
Yeah, like who's going to say something about my mom or,
Yeah.
or you know, or my girlfriend or my fiance. And I end up they come back and they're up there and my mom like I could tell they were down there crying, like happy crying.
Okay.
You know, like just so hammered.
Yeah, well, and also you had just gotten engaged, so I'm sure your mom's psyched about that.
She was, and my mom goes, she's like leaning over to me and like I'm just trying to watch the game.
Yeah.
And she's like, I could tell why you want to marry her. It's those eyes. Look at them, those beautiful eyes. And we look over. She's sleeping. Her eyes are closed. So I'm like, yeah. I was like, they're beautiful.
Yeah, Mom,
eyes.
great eyes. They're great. Cool.
Beautiful eyes
Awesome.
when they're open.
Yeah.
Russell
Second
Wilson
and 3.
just
Got it.
threw a pick.
Yeah. Yeah, that game was.
It was a beating.
What do you think? Do you think Justin Fields for the playoffs, or you want to stick with Russ?
No, I think you got it. I don't think you can make.
You got to dance with the girl who brought you, right?
Yeah.
Even though that's ironic because you guys switched out of Justin Fields.
When Justin Fields was 4-2.
Yeah.
He
lost 2 games and they like pulled the ripcord.
I don't think Russell Wilson's the biggest problem.
No.
I think there's a lot of coaching issues.
I think the George Pickens thing was incredibly underrated. And then when he went out, that offense just stopped.
There's a lot of turmoil in the locker room right now with the defense.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah. But
Well, and it was a big finger-pointing thing after the Kansas City game. The defense at themselves. Where they were like, yeah, we're not. They were the best defense in the NFL by far, like the first 10 weeks of the season.
Well, they're saying there's one guy that ain't doing his job. And maybe it's Minka Fitzpatrick, but it's, you know.
I remember when you guys got Minka. I was like, the Dolphins traded
so awesome.
One of the best safeties in the. Now it's Kyle Hamilton, Minka Fitzpatrick. It's kind of back and forth, but you guys have like the guy.
We have a lot of the guys.
Yeah, TJ.
Yeah, it's just
you still got Cam, man.
It's also though you got to be like our offense has been pretty bad, lackluster, uninspired for most of the last like 5 years.
Yeah.
And when you're a stellar defense, I've never played. You've played.
Yeah.
You know, football at the collegiate level, and like, is it a thing where when one side of the ball is just not doing their part, how is that way on the other side of the ball?
It gets so it's a double-edged sword because there is a situation where because in my experience, our offense has always been much better than our defense. Like when I played at FAU, we broke all these offensive records. We had Alfred Morris, who ended up playing in the league for like 10 years. Yeah,
loved Alfred Morris.
Rusty Smith went in like the 3rd round to the Titans. Like we had some guy. Rob Hauser was drafted. He was the tight end for the Cardinals for a while. Like we had some guys.
Yeah.
And our defense was kind of like this island of misfit toys, like guys who walked on, like Chris Bartels, all Sunbelt at the time we were in the Sunbelt, all Sunbelt safety. He was a walk-on. He was like 5'6".
Yeah.
And he played strong safety. He'd fucking hit the bejesus out of you, but he couldn't, he wasn't a cover guy. So it was this weird thing where we would turn to the defense oh, Jesus, are you okay?
Yeah. Are you okay? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know you're good. We would turn to the defense as the offense and just be like, just bail us out of this. Like, if we were down, we would just be like, just get something. Like, we know you're not going to make a stop. Just hold them to a field goal. Get a pick. And it seemed like they always got it. But when they wouldn't produce, in that one time we would need them to produce, it was very much like, are you fucking kidding me?
That's what I'm saying.
Are you fucking kidding me?
So I think the Steelers...
You can let them score on 4 drives. We're fine with that because we scored on 5. The one time we needed to stop, you guys couldn't do it?
I think the Steelers had "Are you fucking kidding me?" for multiple years.
Yeah.
To where it was like I mean, I don't care. Like I understand we got your back, yo.
Yeah.
Okay, you fucked up, we got you.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's in any walk of life. I feel like where it's like even a friend, like when you have a friendship that starts feeling real one-sided.
Yeah, I've been that other guy.
Yeah.
When I was drinking, it was always like, "Don't worry, Brennan, we got you, and then it turned into, "Come on, dude, stop getting fucking in trouble, man."
Yeah.
Like, do you want a towel?
No, I'm good.
Are you sure?
It's just water. If you're just listening,
The look on your face and my professionalism trying to keep the story going.
Well, you know what I felt, but I didn't know, I didn't realize what was around here that I could ruin, and we have equipment in front of us. I went to take a sip of water because I'm just finally I lost my voice, so I'm just finally getting my voice back, and I have a squirt bottle because I'm such a fucking athlete, and I started dropping it, and I went to catch it, and as squirt bottles work, I busted on me and Brennan. So.
Yeah, it was like a movie I watched the other day, a documentary.
Yeah, about
it was about these 2 guys and this one young lady. She was lost, couldn't find her way. Yeah, it was interesting.
Challengers.
No.
Oh.
It was a documentary. It was on a
YouPorn.
yeah, one of those sites.
All right.
I call them documentaries.
Guy jerks off. Technically, they're not documentaries because they are acting.
That's true. That's a good point.
Now you're disrespecting the porn community.
Yeah, because Kyle Kinane has that hilarious bit where he talks about it was a foreign film, Russian teens. So I've always said, I don't know. Anyway, we're getting off track. So, what ends up happening when you go to leave? You drive home. You stayed sober through the game, or soberish through the game?
Yeah, I stayed sober through the game, and I got everybody. We were in traffic like crazy trying to get back. But I didn't. Now, Natalie, who is my fiance's name, she will tell
Shout out Natalie.
She will tell you differently. But I didn't give them that hard of a time about it. And as I wouldn't, because I'm remembering all of the times where I've been to Steeler games, where I've pissed in trash cans, where I've sat down, couldn't find my seat for hours upon hours, where I've left because in the third quarter because I thought the game was over, where I have...
You don't mean like we were up big. You mean like, I thought that was the end of the game. Yeah.
So shit face. So my buddy did that too one time. That was hilarious. We get back. I lived with him. We get back to the apartment and he's like we left and we were like, yeah, we were getting killed. So we left early. And he was sitting there. He's all showered, cleaned up, eating. We're like, how the hell did you get back so quick? He's like, well, funny enough, I thought the game ended at the end of the first half. I was so drunk. But
that is a weird spot. And you talked about it on your first episode, and it's something that we share in common. We grew up around people who like to drink and like to have a good time
party,
and
baby.
stuff. So it is an interesting thing because my mom still likes to get after it. So it is a weird thing when we hang out. It's more of an annoyance. It's not like my brain never goes to oh my God, you're drinking too much. This is it never goes into that mindset. It's always just Come on, man. You know, because like Tracy, my girlfriend now, has a very like she came up in a very like loving, caring, compassionate household where like everyone might have a drink and stuff. Like it wasn't very volatile, like the kind of background that I'm used to. So it's so funny when I tell her stories, it's very much like, wait, what? And I go, yeah, isn't it so annoying? She goes, like, I don't think that's healthy.
Yeah, I don't vibe with that.
My brain didn't even go there.
Do you feel like you have like, because you've been sober 7 years? 7 years.
Yeah.
There are some sober folks get the holier than thou stereotype.
Yeah.
I don't think you have that.
No.
I lived with Brandon Trousseau for a
Yeah.
year, a good buddy
Love
of mine.
Brandon, friend of the show.
He is very, he's not that way.
Yeah.
But I do think some people can be that way.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's a lot of different factors that go into it. I think one of the biggest things is realizing is what we talk about at the meetings that I go to. I can't tell you about because they're super secret anonymous ones, but
Sure.
taking accountability and responsibility yourself. So I think there are people out there who get sober, but it's because they had to get sober and it's everyone else's fault. And I think those people have a tendency to rev up that like, this is a terrible poison, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
because they can't do it anymore and they're mad about it. So they're kind of taking it out.
You think that's what it is?
I do, because me, Brandon,
interesting.
there's a lot of other people like, Joe List, who I've had on the podcast before, who openly talks about his sobriety. Like, we all got sober for ourselves, and like, we have no problem with other people drinking around us.
Yeah.
I can only speak for me. I have no problem. In fact, I encourage it. Like, if you don't have a problem, I love drinking, but that's why I had to stop. But like, if you don't have a problem with it, I'm like, let's fucking go. I had Dan Lamort tell me when a year into living in New York, him and I were hanging out a lot. And he goes, it's so weird that you call your podcast X Drinking Buddy. Because even though you're sober, you're like the best drinking buddy. Because you're like,
that's a nice thing to say.
yeah, but I'm like, yeah, let's do, if you want to do a shot, you do a fucking shot, man. Like, let's go. Let's
go for
party.
it.
Yeah. And I find it's because my bottom was so horrific and my tales of woe, as it were so bad. And I came to the realization that I did all that to myself.
Yeah, that's not everybody else's problem.
Yeah, I've got no problem with other people.
Well, I mean, I even remember like I probably I would like to quit drinking just for the health benefits and the focus benefits. Is like last January when I did this, I was on fire as like a creative person, as a self-motivated person. It's just like sometimes like when I booze hard. So I lose like 3 days of my life.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. And we talked about it after the casino thing you told us last time. You said you took 40 days off from drinking.
40 days.
You lost 60 pounds. You were like locked in. Yeah. And that is a true thing, especially we're getting older. It is a real thing that like, if you're going to drink the way that you like to drink, you're going to lose 3, 4, maybe 5 days. It's rough.
And it's like you have that first day where you're just drunk, so you get nothing productive done.
Yeah.
But you have fun, and that's fine, and you're allowed to have fun. But it's that next day I've had like the in-bed hangover.
Yeah.
And then
where you like know you have to get up to get water because you're like dying, but you're like, I can't get up. I can't. This is where the Natalie Bennett.
Yeah.
That's where that comes in real handy, because I used to do that.
Please.
Alyssa!
Yeah. Help.
Can you grab me a Gatorade and a straw?
I don't even like just turn that. But then it's now to the point where that third day, I'm just fuzzy.
You're dragging.
And it's not good. It's not like, it's I mean, I want a career, as we all do. I want a career in entertainment. It's why I'm here. It's why I do what I do. It's why I worked hard on that special. It's why I did that. And the fuzziness affects me on stage. It affects my writing. It affects my ability to...
Do you drink before you go on stage?
No. Maybe have a drink.
Let me rephrase that. You're not now, because you are a professional. Like, you've been doing this a long time. You tour all over. You're not drunk on stage.
No.
Not like when we were younger. And you'd be
not
like,
in a long time.
Yeah.
I have not been drunk on stage in a very long time.
Okay.
But I will On the road a lot. Like if I'm doing multiple show nights, I won't drink at all.
Okay.
Because I the hangover, like it's like I used to do with like, I remember I worked with, did I tell the Ian Bagg story on here?
Love Ian Bagg.
I worked with him, and he's a crowd work guy, and I opened for him a couple of times, and I noticed like in like 2 different weekends, like he didn't drink at all. I was like, oh, you don't drink? And he was like, I do. Just when I'm performing on a weekend, I don't drink because it makes me like, I'm not on my game. I'm not fuzzy. And then I'm like, oh yeah, he probably has to do that because he's a crowd work guy.
Yeah, it's got to be in the moment.
And he's got to be in the moment in that. Me, I do all material. I'm fine. And then I'm like, that's a brilliant idea, Ray. Yeah, why not take weapons away from yourself? Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's like
100%. Yeah.
It's like yeah, just power through your material with a fuzzy brain and not be in the moment. That's smart. That's a smart way to
just
be
do it
good
like a
at this.
tape recorder. Yeah. Like a playlist on Spotify. Just do your material.
Half-ass through your material. That's smart. So you could have fun drinking one night.
And in some rural town in Idaho or Maine or something.
And lay around all day while you're in your hotel room until the show time. And it's just like, I don't know. Drinking's fun. Don't get me wrong. Drinking is so fucking fun.
No arguments here.
It is a blast. I love it. I love having a fucking cocktail. There are things that I associate it with that like when I'm doing them without alcohol, I'm like salivating.
Yeah. I had to relearn how to watch movies.
Wait, what?
Because my whole thing, I have a bit about it, but like I
drunk watch movies?
Dude,
that's hard.
We talked about this the last time, but obviously that was years ago. But like Burn Notice was like my favorite show.
Hilarious.
So I would get hammered, and I had a bit about it where I would say like me and my ex used to share a Netflix account. Has anybody here ever had such a bad drinking problem that your family can tell you relapsed by your Netflix queue? Like if she saw Burn Notice on there, she would call me and she'd go, what the fuck is going on? And I'd be like, this is after we broke up, but like I was in and out of rehabs and detoxes. So she would call me and be like, are you okay? And I'd be like, what are you talking about? She goes, Brendan, you went through an entire season of Burn Notice last night. You only do that when you're drinking. And I would do that with movies. Starship Troopers.
Burn Notice is your party show?
Dude, that and Jersey Shore. I beat the beat up with Vinny and Pauly D just in my living room. But
my dad used to do that with Cheers.
Yeah, we talked about yeah. You have a show that you like to drink to, and so I would do that with movies too because I love bad movies for like the great lines in a bad movie, like A Knight's Tale, like With Hope, Love to the End with Hope.
You think A Knight's Tale is a bad movie?
No, I think it's an underrated movie.
I love A Knight's Tale.
Again, this is a bit, but it's true. When I was arrested, I wrote my ex-fiance every single day from jail, and I would end the letter the same way every time. Love to the End with Hope. She had never seen A Knight's Tale. She said that was the most romantic thing anyone's ever done. It's from that movie.
And you're like, just don't watch A Knight's Tale.
Well, and it's so funny because my current girlfriend, Tracy, has obviously heard that bit. So when I say goodbye to her, I always say, with all the love that I possess. Because she didn't like me saying love to the end with hope. You want to hear the kicker? It's the next line in the movie. Like that's not even a part of the bit. Like that just started happening a few months ago because she was like, stop saying to me the things you used to say to your ex. So
which is fair.
Yes, 100% fair. So I literally just did the next line in that scene.
You're a big movie guy.
I love movies. But that was the thing is like I used to always get drunk and watch movies because like in that scene where they're writing the letter, I would be like crying, like hammered, doing shots, being like, I want to love like that. Like my heart was shattered into pieces so small they could be passed through an eye of a needle, and I would do a shot. So then I get sober. Burn Notice is still one of my favorite shows. But to your point, I would watch it and I would be like salivating, like, where is my vodka? Like I can't watch this show without getting drunk.
Can you still watch Burn Notice now?
I'm on the last season right now. Again, this goes back to the point you made earlier and that we were talking about. There are people who go, alcohol ruined my life. Now all those things are taken away from me.
Yeah.
And then, so they go around. And then there's other people who fucking go through. And I was like, well, I'm not going to not watch Burn Notice because I'm an alcoholic. Like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
So I just taught myself how to do it again. Taught myself how to watch movies without drinking. Taught myself how to go out with my friends without drinking. Taught myself how to be on stage without being drunk. I had to relearn all that stuff. But
that's part of it.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah. But we kind of got off, I got off on this tangent. You were talking about like your love of drinking, and there's certain things that you do where you're still like, no, I want to fucking drink.
Yeah, there's like certain things like we I used to do the podcast that you came on with Dylan.
Yeah,
We did
Troublemakers.
The Troublemakers podcast, and me and him always joke around about the best beers.
Yeah.
Like the best beer is like, and like one of mine was always like the after like manual labor beer.
Oh yeah.
You know, like you're
That's
sweating,
a big one. Yeah.
have a beer. You know, the post show beer. The like he said it, his was like on the golf course beer.
Yeah.
Or you know, and I just think about all those like, man, like the fucking the day beer, the like post shower about to go out beer, like the in the shower
I
beer.
was
Yeah.
just about to say it. As Cal Kinane says, everyone deserves a spa day. Put a sixer on the back of the toilet.
Like it's those things that like,
Dude, I used to take, because I was never a beer guy, I used to take mixed drinks in the shower all the time. And when I was in college and a little after college, it was fun. It was like a good time. Later, it became like I can't like function without booze in my system. But in the beginning, it was a blast, dude.
I can't wash my ass without taking a couple
I'm
shots.
shaking.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, dude, it was a blast, man. Like there are so many fun things. Like I associate, obviously, because I played football in college. Sports for me was never a drinking activity. So even watching sports, it was never like those two things never kind of mixed. But comedy, I was always the first like 12 mics I did in Florida. I was hammered.
That's crazy.
And it's like, so I always associated being on stage with being drunk. And I was talking about this last week with Bobby Sheehan, but it was like, you think you're going to be like, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago with my guest, David Estrada, because you think you're going to be like George Carlin. And you're like, I'll just go up there and I'll riff and I'm drunk and I'm having a good time. And then like, I look at that old notebook, that old composite book right there. That's my original joke book from 2009. And I'm like, this is horrific. Like, this isn't good at all.
But you were writing it when you were drunk?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it was like all these drunken thoughts, like I'm going to be the next Bukowski.
I mean, I still have it till this day where I'll think of something when I'm drunk and I'll write it down on my phone, and then the next day I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm apologies if somebody listened to the last episode and I'm retelling this story, but I remember I got there was this one like weekly show in Pittsburgh. It was a Friday night, a great room. It was called the Corner Cafe.
You did not tell this story.
And it became like because they weren't getting audiences much anymore, so it became like a big drinking night for comics. Like if you didn't have something, every comic went there, got fucked up, performed or whatever. And we had like an audience of like 10 the one night, which was good for that room. And I get like buried drunk. We're just crushing like shots of Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
And I get on stage, don't remember it. Next day, my buddy Tim Ross gives me a call, and he's like, dude, that set last night. And I was like, oh, yeah. He was like, fucking killer, dude. Like, he was like, oh, my God. He's like, dude, he's like, you did so much like shit I've never heard you do before. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like getting up. I'm all hungover. I'm like, but like, I'm still like, you know, I won't get up for water, but like, if it's a joke.
Like,
so I'm getting up. I'm like rushing to like find my notebook. I was like, dude, can you remember anything that I was saying? He was like, nah, I'm just fucking with you, dude. Nobody can understand a word that came out of your mouth. I was like, God
that is
damn
so
it.
fucked up, man.
Killed me. And I was like, that's fair.
Dude,
that's
Tim
fair.
got you, man.
Oh, he destroyed me.
Oh, because there's so many times. Because this is before I started, like, I always tell people now that I came back into comedy in 2018.
Okay.
Because I started comedy in 2009. But when you move to New York and you're like, yeah, I've been doing comedy for like 13 years and you're at an open mic, that looks really weird. And it's like, well, no, I took time off, like, because I was an alcoholic and drug addiction. And like, there's like gaps of 3 or 4 years. Like, that takes too long. So I just go, I came back into comedy in 2018. I've been doing it for now 6 years.
Sure. That's fair.
But there was, and when I started though, you didn't record your sets on your phone really. Like there wasn't like a thing. There are so many times where I've had that same exact like thought I like did well, or somebody like jokingly told me I did well, and I was like, "What? Like fucking of course, man.
Yeah.
Like I was born to do this." And then come to find out they're like fucking, like my cousin Tommy would do it all the time where he was like, man, you crushed last night. And I'm like, of course I did, bro. And he goes, no, I'm kidding. Like we had to pull you off the stage because you refused to acknowledge the light. And I was like, yeah, that's another thing that I also did too.
Dude, I got blacked out drunk and ruined Avengers Infinity War for an entire crowd.
Did you a whole crowd?
Yeah.
What happened?
There was this
So you like drunk movies too?
no, I didn't see the movie drunk. I got to see
Oh
I got to see Avengers Infinity War kind of early because I went to some I got
Like a screening?
some press screening thing
Okay.
I got to go to because I used to work for this this company that used to try to find we would go around screenings and try to make sure people weren't filming or doing things like that.
Yeah.
So I worked for this company that did that.
It's basically like security.
Yeah, it was a fun job because
Yeah,
we
that's awesome.
we didn't do shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes we would not even do the job. We would just go across the street and drink beers at Bar Louie. But
Would you like a Zen?
no, thank you. And I
That's awesome to just be like, what do you do for work? Oh, I'm supposed to make sure copyright infringement is upheld and all this kind of stuff. A lot of times though, I just go to the bar and drink.
yeah, oh dude, they had dollar beers at Bar Louie on this usually on the days we do the screenings.
Is this in New York?
No, this is in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I remember I got to see The Dark Knight Rises a week before it came out.
I remember
and
when
I
that
was
came out.
supposed to be walking around. It was only 10 people in the theater because it was press. And I instead just fucking sat down and just watched it.
That's true too, because you're doing the screenings. So you're like, yeah, obviously no one's recording this. Like all these people work for.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah.
But I still, but you never know because some
that's true.
press can be very loose.
Yeah, especially with podcasts and stuff like that. Like people have a blog and then they clickbaity get the spoiler of the end of the movie here. Yeah, no, that's true. That's a good point. Good point.
So I would do
So
that, but
good.
I remember I got to see Infinity War early, and I got to see it on a Wednesday before the Friday came out, and Thursday was when this big open mic was that was basically a show in Pittsburgh at Hambones. It was a great room, and they would get, there would be 30 people there, and all the comics are in there too, and I'm fucking wasted.
So
And
30 people on top of the comics. So
Yeah.
there's 60 people there.
So I used to get, and for this mic sometimes I would go down there. I'd be at my buddy's party and I would be sloppy drunk there.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a thing the comics liked it because I was definitely at least funny to them.
Yeah.
And I was up there dude, I'd be in gym shorts and flip flops and partying all day. And I remember going up there and shit wasn't working. I was like, fuck you. I was like, is anybody planning on going to see that new Avengers movie?
Oh no.
And they were like, yeah.
Yeah, the whole crowd was like, yeah.
I was like, well, Thanos gets all the rings. He snaps his fingers, and half the people disappear. So they're gonna have to figure it. I was like, they're gonna have to figure that out. Spider-Man goes, fucking Doctor Strange goes, and I just start doing it, and then everybody's like, fuck you.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I thought you got drunk and ran into a theater and you're like, they all die and ran out.
Nope. Stood on stage.
No, you stood
in
on
front of
stage.
60 people, and it's comics, so they're nerds.
Yeah.
So they love. I love that stuff too. I'm so into the superhero stuff.
Yeah.
But
Mine's Star Wars, but still, yeah, same.
But they're what the fuck?
Dude. And I remember when that came, I remember crying in the theater when I watched it.
Yeah. Well,
When Spider-Man goes, dude, I'd have lost it.
no, it would have kept you from crying.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you would have been ready for it.
When Iron Man's holding him,
Yeah.
I'm going to cry right now just thinking about
Don't
it.
do it.
Dude. So,
Do you cry a lot?
all the time. I'm bipolar. I'm manic.
Oh. I've been crying more.
Have you?
Yeah.
Do you think that has to do with getting older, or do you think that has to do with cutting back on the drinking, or?
My dad died over 2 years ago now, and ever since then, and it's not even like I had a super close, me and him had a pretty tumultuous relate. I don't know if that's a good word, but he was an alcoholic.
Yeah,
party
we
guy.
talked about you would go to bars with him when you were 13 and hang out and stuff. We talked about it.
He was in and out of my life. He lived in Kentucky when I lived in Pittsburgh for 13 years of my life, whatever it was. And but we really started getting close towards the end. We kind of he turned his life around for the
That's
better,
awesome.
Yeah. Lost a bunch of weight, all this stuff. But I am just now anything I'm just like more sensitive to like certain things like with
Is
like
it
movies.
parent-
Yeah, it's parent based.
Yeah, okay.
Because now like I'm very close with my mom. Like always been very close with my mom. So like when something like that happened, it's like I now have that like it's like it's a possibility.
Yeah, they're not invincible.
I know that sounds
yeah.
suppressing, but
No, but it's true.
yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, oh, like we're all gonna lose the people we love.
I probably watched
Wedding Crashers.
Nailed it. Field of Dreams. Probably watched Field of Dreams every year in my life since the first time I ever saw it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies. Have not watched it since my dad died.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, I'm not going to make myself fucking cry.
Yeah.
I'm still a man.
Yeah. Which is ironic that you say that because of my like certain mental issues that I have and stuff like that. Like my swings are very dramatic. Obviously, that's what bipolar is. And so literally we like got into that show Shrinking.
Yeah.
And we will be sitting on the couch watching it, and I will go from laughing hysterically to sob crying to laughing hysterically. This is why I like that show so much within like 3 minutes. And Tracy, God love her, is like, what have I gotten myself into?
Are you like, you're diagnosed bipolar?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. You're not like one of those girls that's like,
I'm not
bipolar.
I'm not one of those comics who's like, let me think of something that kind of makes sense, and that way I can get some gains.
I'm so bipolar. Sometimes like I want a snack, and other times I'm just not even hungry.
Or when they go like, oh my God, avocado toast is like crack. I'm like, well, I've done crack. I don't think it's anything like crack.
Nope.
I've also had avocado toast. Not the same.
It's solid. It ain't crack.
But yeah, when I went to rehab the first time at 23, like, you know, you have to meet with doctors, like real doctors. Like you see therapists and stuff and you call everybody doctor, but you have to meet with like legit doctors like once a week.
Sure.
And so they did that with the cross-reference between that, my therapist, and then my former, obviously, hospital visits and stuff like that. Turns out my mom is also bipolar and wasn't diagnosed till much later in life. And so... And I didn't find that out till after I was diagnosed.
Yeah.
But the doctor said it like real nonchalant. Like it was like I was there for 42 days. So it was like the third or like probably like 20 or 30 days in. I'm sitting down with the doctor and he goes, well, he's like, we figured out what's going on. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, can you give me some insight? He goes, well, you already knew about the generalized anxiety disorder and like the depression. Like you knew about all that. He goes, yeah, you're bipolar. So yeah, that's new. But you're gonna have to deal with that, and then just moved on. And I was like, whoa! This is like a big deal.
Yeah, we're gonna have to amputate your leg, and then Tracy, did you make lunch?
Yeah, it was just he goes, yeah, and you have bipolar. You're bipolar too, so that's new. So anyway, yeah, so we're just gonna get you on the right combination of meds, and we'll say. And I was like, what? And there's a lot that comes with it. It's like they try triazidol and lithium, and there's all this different stuff. But when I got sober the last time, I was like, I'm not taking anything. Like,
wow.
Because the problem with antipsychotics is, and I do feel cool being able to say that because that's what they are labeled as. So it's cool to be like, antipsychotics.
They don't make your wiener. They make your wiener not work.
Well, that's what the blue chews are for, baby.
Okay.
Code X drinking, but no, I'm just kidding. God, I wish I had a sponsor. But the problem with the antipsychotics as a creative is it turns you into a zombie.
Okay.
You have one mood and it's just a steady mood, which is good.
Yeah.
Because then I'm not breaking shit at work. I'm not slamming a glass on the counter, stone sober, just like, where the fuck is my salad? Bam. Like I'm not doing that, but also like I can't, it's so hard to write. It's so hard to think outside the box. So when I got sober the last time, I just stopped taking everything. And obviously, like, I do things for it. I meditate, I pray, I go to the gym 6 days a week. Like, there's things that I do for it. But still, it's like, it's there. It's
so
always
you're good,
there.
though, but you're good.
Yeah, I'm good in the sense that, like, as long as my routine doesn't get super obstructed. But my outbursts now are more, like, sob crying. Like I said, like, I'll start, like, crying. Violence is like very low on the thing now. I get a lot of manic episodes where I'll like freak out and start cleaning, or I'll leave the apartment at 10 o'clock at night to get on the train to go into Manhattan to walk across the Brooklyn Bridge, which I do things like that. But that's like,
why?
Yeah, you just get like, I get it manic. I get in my head like I have to go and do this. Like I live in New York. Like I have to explore New York.
Why can't you just walk to Astoria Park?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It's because I'm not on the lithium, man. But yeah, so like it's under control in the sense that like I'm not like a danger to myself or to others, but it does suck.
You know what I do think is so funny? I was just kind of thinking about this is that like cult, like our culture, and I'm not sure if other cultures outside of like America do this, but you were saying how he kind of was like, hey, and you're bipolar, as like kind of like a side remark that's like such a huge thing, is that like these like mental health diseases, it's usually with mental health stuff, is we like underplay them so much to the point where like we use them like in our everyday lives.
Yeah.
Like God, I'm so depressed about the Steelers.
Yeah.
Or like oh my God, I clean my apartment for 6 hours. I'm just so OCD, and it's like, nah. It's not what depression is. It's not what OCD is.
Yep, 100%.
Or it's like man, dude. It's like God, like man. Sometimes, dude. It's like we were saying about the bipolar thing. Like, God, he's fucking bipolar. I swear to God.
Yeah.
It's like he never makes up his mind, and it's like
that's not what
no,
that is.
He's indecisive.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up because to that same point, in that same vein, when comics will quit drinking for like a week and then get on stage and go, yeah, so I'm sober, and they get the applause break and everything, I get angry.
Yeah.
Which I know I'm not supposed to. It's their thing,
True.
their material. Let them do what they want. But I get mad in the sense where it's like, no, what I've done is really fucking hard.
Yeah.
You can't do it for a week and then steal the valor and be like, yeah, me too, right, Brennan? It's like, no.
I feel the
Say
same.
I don't drink. Just say I don't drink.
Yeah.
Sober is a completely different thing. Or like they're like, I'm sober. And then they go out and start smoking weed. I go, just say you don't drink for the love of Christ.
Well, being a guy that's 36 hours sober, I totally understand what you're saying.
I teed you up for that.
It's been
You know,
nice
dry
being friends.
January is hard, Brennan. I don't think you understand the sacrifice.
Dry January asterisk because I'll drink during Steelers playoff games is kind of tough.
Some people just don't have the mental fortitude.
They
for
don't.
it, you know.
They don't.
But it's the same thing with mental illness. Like when I tell people I'm anxious, they go, "Yeah, I'm anxious too," and I go, "No, my anxiety is different than your anxiety."
Yeah.
Like mine is like actual like. My like brain doesn't work. Like I will throw up when I have to go to work because of something I said to a table 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Like that's anxiety.
Well, and then like people will be like think like OCD is like Danny Tanner from Full House.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, he's a pussy and a neat freak.
That's not OCD.
They're like OCD is fucking can be crippling.
Yes. I know people who have like full blown
Myself,
like,
yeah,
yeah,
me
they
too.
have like, and it's like I can't leave the house and like I have to go back, and we're like, we're not going back to the apartment. You turned off the stove. I know, but I have to go back, and they will be like, I'm getting off the train. I'll meet you there. Like I have to go back.
Yeah, and it gets even it's just so like it's not something that like I'd ever like that shit would never offend me. There's the only thing that offends me is a bad joke.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
But like it is just I think it's just very interesting like what like culturally like how that thing is used.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and it's the same thing with alcoholism. Like I know plenty of people who like to party and people are like, they're an alcoholic. And I go, I don't think you understand what that word means.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they drink real hard on the weekends. Yeah, they're an alcoholic. It's like, or they had a mimosa on Sunday brunch during the summer. And you're like, I'm like, okay, dude, yeah. And by that metric, like, have you ever gone to a doctor and honestly told them how much you drink? They think everyone's an alcoholic.
That is true, those
I'm like,
motherfuckers.
I was like, I don't think you understand what it is, dude.
I remember when I had to go to I got like 3 or 4 underage drinkings in college. And I remember when I went to like my intake meeting, they called it, and she was like, "How many times have you blacked out?" And I'm
We did. You were the blackout king back then.
and I was that's what I said. Like this month, I still black out like crazy.
Yeah, so that's something we kind of touched on, and that was again a couple years ago. So I was actually interested to get the follow up on that. You had said as you've gotten older, your blackouts have started to become more frequent. Where before it was maybe like every 20% of the time you drank, you would black out. Then as you gotten older, it's like 30 to 40%. Is it still increasing?
Which is one of the reasons why like I really like, again, I'm not an alcoholic, but I gotta get that under control. Like the pissing has become a problem.
Yes. Again, we touched on this. You peed on books for your ex-girlfriend. You got 3 public urinations.
Well, my current so
what has happened since then?
me and my girl now, when we first started dating, we weren't even living together at the time, and I wake up in the middle of the night, blacked out drunk, and just start pissing on her dresser. She stops me.
So you still doing this?
She stopped, dude. I did it as recently as like 3 months ago.
Wow, because you said this was a problem in college where you would get up, walk around, and then just start peeing on stuff.
Well, this one I fucking dude. I did a thing where I've went on the side of the bed and just pulled my dick out and pissed. I did a thing where I went into the bathroom, pissed my pants. Took my I don't remember this, but I see, I did some investigating the next morning.
You're the king of detective work.
Yeah. And I just go in the other room. I must have went into the bedroom or into the bathroom. Or I must have went into the bathroom, did every step, and I've done this before, did every step but pull my dick out, piss my pants, take them off. I threw them in the shower, walked out of the bathroom, Winnie the Poohing, and hopped into bed and went to sleep. And then my girl wakes up.
Winnie the Pooh is the best expression.
My girl wakes up and she goes into the bathroom. And it's like a Saw movie. There's wet pants in the bathtub.
Smells of piss.
Smells of piss. And
she just starts screaming.
To her credit, she doesn't. But now she is finally
Is she getting fed up with it?
Now she's finally dude.
It was cute. The first time you're like, oh, you drank too much.
You gotta stop pissing on stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting the things that we have, our little idiosyncrasies when we're our alter egos have, Statue Ray has, or that Brandon Taft, who's my alter ego, has, where it's like my thing, because I would always drink by myself, but pissing was a thing, but it wasn't my go-to thing was the texting. Was the drunk
I used to do that.
Yeah, but that was my thing. I joke about it now, and I was even doing it last night with my girlfriend, with Tracy, where I was just I don't even know where my phone is, because I've gotten very good about not being attached to my phone.
That's great.
Which is hard, especially with our line of work, because if I have my phone near me, I will just keep refreshing Instagram and my emails, looking for dates and you know what I mean? I can't help it. So a lot of times I put I keep my charger for my phone in the bedroom. So if my phone is less than 50%, I get anxious about it dying. So I will put it in the bedroom to charge, and then I'll come out here and watch a show or something. And then I won't even I'll be oh, I don't I'll keep reaching for it and go, oh, it's not here. It's not here. It's not here. And so, but when I was drinking, I was that was my thing. Was the like I mentioned earlier, the different shows I would watch when I was drunk, and that's how people knew I was drinking. But I would just start reaching out to exes, cousins I hadn't talked to in years. What is up? I got to plan a trip to I would make all of these plans hammered.
Well, speaking of the investigating, that's what I would do when I would get blacked out drunk. I would send the text and I would delete all my texts. Did I tell you that?
Yeah.
And
you talked about it, and that's why I said you are the king of detective work, because that's insane to me.
It is insane.
It makes listening back to it today before we recorded this, and now talking about it now, I have a pit in my stomach just thinking about it.
Well, it's
tell the new listeners what you would do.
So I would get blacked out drunk, and I would get on my phone and I would text people wild shit. I'd either be starting shit, usually attacking a girlfriend or ex-girlfriend. I've even texted my mom shit, stuff to make her concerned.
Yeah.
Clearly, but I don't totally know, because I would then delete all the text as if it was
a benefit to sober Ray,
to protecting myself the next day. And it's hey, dipshit, it doesn't also delete from everybody else's phone, just yours. So then you wake up I always said you wake up the next morning to these response texts, and you gotta be either oh yeah, no, I wasn't that drunk, I was just getting home from blah blah blah, or you have to lie and or work around it. It's just
try and bash your way through this with lies. It is a great excuse though to be drunk and do that.
Yeah,
because I'm speaking from experience now, where I'm sure you've done this too, where you've been completely sober and put your foot in your mouth and you're fuck. And I do that a lot, and I don't know why I still do it. But it's not like whether it's with Tracy's friends and I'll make a wildly inappropriate joke and it's like, this isn't the room for that. Like, why? Like, my brain immediately after it comes out of my mouth, I go, why did you say that?
I am terrible with conflict. And that's why.
Yeah, you had mentioned. I do know that about you. You mentioned that to me before.
That's what me being blacked out drunk would do, is it would create conflict that I have to deal with without any ground to stand on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that was the hardest thing for me, where I'm like, fucking, I'm like, I'm being an asshole and I have no reason for it.
Yeah.
And you reach an age, and maybe you realize this with sobriety, like you reach an age where like I was drunk just doesn't fucking cut it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and some of the antics that I would pull, there's a line in the movie Burnt with Bradley Cooper. I don't know if you've ever saw it. It's a chef movie.
I saw Chef.
Yeah, that's another good one. But in Burnt, Burnt is a lot less funny, a lot more like if you work in a restaurant, you're like, it's like watching The Bear. You're like,
Yeah.
I can't stop watching this, but I hate watching this. Like
The Bear's dope.
Yeah, I love The Bear. But it's Tina comes into the restaurant a lot. The woman who plays Tina. Yeah,
really?
Her and her husband. Yeah. That's her husband in the show, is her husband in real life too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I know him from Dexter.
Yes.
Detective Angel.
He kind of had that lisp.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah, they're super cool. But it's interesting because there's a line in that movie where Bradley Cooper's character is like sober and like gets clean and he comes back. And the best line, I say it to my sponsees to this day, I go, doomed youth is very romantic. When you're in your 20s and you're running and gunning and everyone's having a good time, the line is doomed youth is very romantic, but doomed middle age is just really sad. So there was a point in my life, like that the reason I got sober was because I woke up in a hospital again, being told I should have been dead hours ago. And I'm 30 now. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this isn't cool anymore, man. Like when you're 22, you're like, yeah, I escaped death, blah, blah. When you're 30, it's like, I have friends who have kids and mortgages. My twin sister has 2 kids and a mortgage. And I'm like waking up out of a blackout in a hospital.
Sometimes things are cliche because they're true.
Yeah.
That idea of like it's not cute anymore, you
Yeah.
know, and you're like, yeah, it's easy to say, or like I can't do it like I did in my 20s, and people are like, oh, yeah, that's just shit people say, and it's like it is the fucking truth.
Yeah, I get frustrated sometimes at work because I'll be like, yeah, man, because I work at a restaurant and I also do comedy and I go to the gym 6 days a week. So there are days, especially during December, when the restaurant's just getting crushed, where I'll go into work and I work with career servers. So some of them are in their 40s, some of them are in their 50s, and I'll be like, man, I don't know if I can keep, like, this is hard on my body.
Hell yeah.
And then they're like, oh, shut up, you're only 36. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not 19. Like, this is fucking hard.
Not to mention, you lived you lived hard. So
It's not like I was taking care of myself the first
Yeah.
30.
not like I was running triathlons.
Then one day I was just like, you know what?
I was freebasing crack, asshole.
I snorted heroin.
Yeah. Did are you in? I don't know. You're in, like, you go to meetings and stuff still?
So yeah, I
Frequently?
no, especially again, this is just when we're recording and all this kind of stuff. But December is very hard for me to do anything other than comedy and work, and even comedy kind of takes it. It's funny. I was like, I moved to the city to pursue stand-up comedy, not money. If I wanted money, I would have stayed in Florida and been a server. And then in December, I'm like, I don't have time. Like, unless it's a book spot, like I do a lot less mics. I do a lot less everything. Sure. But there is a meeting I go to. It's virtual, but I try to go at least twice a week. Well, outside of December, I try to go twice a week. But I still go. I still sponsor people. I still talk to my sponsor once a week. Because it's one of those things where my brother growing up used to always say the problem with being so smart, because my brother's like a super genius, he would say the problem with being so smart is you always know how the movie's going to end. And that's something that's kind of always stuck with me. And what I mean by that is, like, before, when I would be like, I'm better than AA, like I'm smarter than these people, I'll figure it out myself, I always relapsed. And the only thing that has kept me consistently sober was doing the work, whether it's a figment of my imagination, because, you know, a lot of athletes are superstitious. So maybe it's just in my head, like I'm like, if I don't do this, I will drink again. And maybe they're not connected, but maybe because they are in my head, it's like, you know, a self-fulfilling prophecy. But I still do it because it's the only thing in the 15 years where I was drinking and the 10 years where I was like drinking like to die, it was the only thing that like consistently kept me sober.
Do you prefer? Because I've been to I had to go to like court mandated.
Yeah, you said with the DUI and all that kind of stuff.
I've been to like 5 meetings, and there's the 2 different types of meetings. There's like the speaker meeting, which is kind of like one dude or lady like kind of
sharing their story,
doing headlining.
Yeah,
you know,
their experience, strength, and hope.
And then there's also like kind of like the share type meeting,
open meetings.
Is there one that you prefer?
So I actually prefer open meetings. I prefer group discussions, but I am a comic through and through. So a lot of that meeting is spent. The beginning of the meeting is me being like, what am I going to talk? Like what? Like putting my set together in my head, like putting a set list together. Like, what am I going to talk about? Like, what are we? I like speaker meetings, but again, it's just like a comedy show. Like if it's a shitty speaker, you're like, this is a waste.
Yeah. My favorite.
You always get something out of something though.
My favorite new joke in my set that I've been doing has, and I may have told you the story already, has come from an AA meeting.
No, you didn't. You mentioned that you had to go, but you didn't mention anything.
I'll tell you the story if you want to hear it.
Yeah, tell the story.
I'm not going to tell the.
Yeah, we got time. Tell the story.
It's not the joke, but it was like, so like I didn't like going to those meetings. That was like my least favorite part of like my DUI punishment, because I felt like I still kind of don't think they should do that.
The speaker meeting?
No, I don't think that they should force DUI people to go to meetings.
Because it could turn people off, and then it could perpetuate the problem.
I think it's also kind of fucked up to like, because I'm not an alcoholic. I don't consider myself an alcoholic.
I wouldn't either, yeah.
And it feels, and there were other people that I know that weren't, and it feels kind of like in the group stuff, like it feels like you're kind of like a fly on the wall where you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Like these are people's personal story. I don't know. Maybe I'm
no.
wrong
That's
about
actually
that.
I didn't think about that.
I
but
didn't
that's 100%,
like that, and I felt like a fraud. And like the last meeting that I had to go to, I had only went to speaker meetings, but it was like the only one that fit into my schedule, and I found it, and it was in the back of this church. And I'm sitting around the circle. It's me and all these dudes, and like the first dude's like he's kind of like. He's very feminine, and he's like, hey, it's like, so we're going to get the thing started. My name's, I'm an alcoholic. And then the next dude's kind of like effeminate as well. And I'm like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, yo, these dudes are all gay. And I fucking went to an all LGBTQ
men's meeting.
It was the first one in Pittsburgh. And I didn't know, like the meeting sheet that they give us, everything has like a note at the, like, it's like this, and this, and then there'll be like a note.
Yeah, closed, open.
I didn't look.
You don't read, yeah.
And then I finally, like, I'm like getting out, and these guys were like, they're all like going around the room, and like, it's like taking a while to get to me, and then I got to like share, and I'm like, fuck.
I just need my sheet signed.
I need my sheet signed. I also don't want to just go like, I'm court mandated to be here after I just heard like 5 people share. So what
did you say?
What I did is I never said I was gay, and I'm not gay. And like part of my joke is about being like a double fraud, because now I'm not an alcoholic, I'm not gay, and I
just in the wrong place.
I remember what I did is I was like,
you're in such the wrong place.
My last meeting, I need signed. I gotta get signed.
You gotta get it signed.
I'm worried that if I'm like, hey, I'm in the wrong place, I gotta get out of here. And dude, like, I'm fucking, like I don't give a fuck what you do, like I'm not like judging these dudes. And like some of them were, it was really interesting to see, because like a lot of them were fucking really against the religious aspect of AA.
Yeah.
Because, obviously homosexuality and religion haven't always been the best of friends.
Yeah.
And
they've clashed.
I've had some issue. And I remember I'm such an idiot. And this actually isn't even in the joke, but I remember being like, I really started to know, because I was in musicals in high school, and I was like, I really started to notice like my drinking was getting out of control at like cast parties for musicals in high school. And I'm just like, and I'm kind of making like I'm saying the gayest things about me.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. But I could feel everybody in the room was like, just fucking end your story.
Just pass.
Move on. You could pass.
Thanks for letting me
I
share.
didn't know there was a pass option. So I'm like, I gotta pretend I'm a fucking gay lush. I gotta be up here and be. You know.
I'm just a gay lush.
Yeah, I gotta be up here and be. You know.
That is a good point because I never thought about it like that because I am an alcoholic, so I never thought about it. But yeah, like that would be like someone coming to an open mic being like, I just want to like try this out, and us dragging them to a writing session to be like, no, you're a comedian now. You have to do the comedian things. And they're like, I just like wanted to check it out. Like, I don't like what?
I think it's that, but 10 times worse.
Yeah, no, it's way
mean,
worse,
like,
but I'm just
like, and again, like I get that, like, you know, maybe some of these people that are getting DUIs are alcoholics.
yeah.
And maybe that this is beneficial and this can help them or see like, but like, I don't think that those two things are one in the, I don't think you get a DUI because you're an alcoholic.
I completely agree with you.
And I think that like, I don't know, man, like hearing some of those people's stories doing that, hearing your story, which you're comfortable with sharing.
Yeah, 100%.
You're through the other side.
Yeah.
But that's not everybody.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I mean, it's called fucking anonymous for a reason.
Yeah, 100%. And then to just force these people to go there who
I think it's
like
it's a good idea.
And also there's a lot of people who, and I talked about it earlier when I was saying like the comedians who don't drink for a week and then talk about being sober. That's one of my biggest gripes against it is because there are people who are not alcoholics who are forced to go to AA meetings for one reason or another. And then they drink again. But because they were not desperate enough to actually do what was required, because they're not alcoholics, they'll tell other people, I went to a couple meetings, AA doesn't work. Like, I'm still drinking, I'm fine. And it's like, yeah, but you weren't in the right space like, you're not even the right person for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
not for you.
It's like someone, and I keep relating it to comedy because those are the two things in my life is my sobriety and my comedy. But it's like going to an open mic and inviting all your friends and crushing and being like, yeah, comedy's not that hard. Like, I did it. It's like, no. You don't understand like what's really required to be here. Does that make sense? Like, you don't understand.
Yes, and I feel like those people that you're talking about that are like that with alcohol, it's attention seeking.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I've seen friends do it. I mean, I've done it myself, but didn't make a big deal about it just because I fucking, I come from a family of alcoholics and I know what alcoholism is.
Yeah.
So like, but what I'm saying is that like, they do the thing where they're like, I had a rough night of drinking. That must have been my rock bottom. I got to quit. And it's like, nah, dude, you showed a couple people your cock in public. You shouldn't go to an AA meeting, but you should probably be on a list. Yeah. Like, somewhere.
It's not. I've said this before, but it's because there's no judgment, obviously. I have no judgment in AA. Like, if someone comes in and goes, yeah, I knew, my time was up. There's people who are judgy, who we call them one-chip wonders, where they came in, they got their first white chip, and then they never drank again. And then you hear their stories where it's like, yeah, my bottom was I got hammered and texted my ex-wife, and I'm like, that's a Tuesday, bro. Like, maybe you never had to relapse because you're not a real, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, maybe that's why you had no problem getting through the program and never drinking again. And that, I do feel some sort of way about that because those, to your point you made at the very beginning of the podcast, and we'll bookend it here, those are the people who seem the most self-righteous. Those are the people who seem holier than thou. They're like, I did it. Why can't you do it? It's like, yeah, maybe you did it because you're not even an alcoholic, man.
Because you don't even love it. You don't even love alcohol like we do.
It takes. Try waking up in a hospital being told you should have been dead 3 hours ago.
You don't love alcohol like I did. You could quit it right away.
It's very Bob Saget, rest in peace, and Half Baked.
This is our second Bob Saget reference.
Yeah. Danny Tanner and then Half Baked, where he's like, weed? You're ready for weed? I used to suck dick for coke. You ever suck dick for weed? And that's how I feel sometimes because I'm like, all right, like I appreciate you're here. It's good for the group.
Yeah.
Your sobriety keeps me sober, but also you can also pass.
Yeah.
It's not just Ray who needs to pass. You can also pass. Dude, this was fun, man.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Promote the special again. The name of the special, where people can find it, the whole deal.
Must Be Nice.
Nice.
That's my special coming out.
Dude, that's such a great name.
It's it comes from a joke and just kind of a general like Pittsburgh like blue collar like way of life.
Oh, yeah.
Where you'll hear somebody say something that like that they're happy about. And then the other person's like, oh, it must be nice. You got off work early today. I haven't got off work. Like,
My buddy
they make
Joe
everything
does it-
about themselves.
My buddy Joe does it all the time. His father passed away, and his mother too. And so whenever we talk about getting together with our parents, he does it obviously because he's got a good sense of humor. But he says like, "Man, your family, your parents must be nice."
Yeah,
I'm
it must be.
always like-
And I just love that line.
And because it's for something so tragic, I'm always like, "Dude, that's hilarious," but also fuck. Must be nice.
It's always like an out trying to blue collar each
Yeah.
other.
Oh, you got off work early today? Must be nice.
It's like, oh, you went to the lake for a weekend. Must be nice. Like, God forbid somebody gets 2 fucking days off to enjoy themselves. And they're like, must be nice. I had to work this
I
weekend.
got 6 days a week, Must
Yeah.
be nice. 2 days off. What's a weekend look like? Must be nice.
Not everything's about you. But Must Be Nice. It's my debut comedy special coming out on my YouTube channel at Zawodni. I love it. It's great. Check it out. It's fucking free. Free. Check out something that's free. Subscribe to the channel. And leave me a comment. Let me know what you think.
Nice comments, please.
Yeah. Or start some shit. I've been waiting.
We'll get Drunk Ray out here.
Yeah.
We'll get Statue Ray.
Yeah.
Reply to some of those comments.
Just don't do it during a Steelers playoff game because I be boozing.
Thank you, everybody, so much for listening at Brennan T Comedy on all social media, BrennanTComedy.com. Check out the one-man show, Ex-Drinking Buddy, a comics look at life, near-death, recovery, and redemption. And we will talk to you all next week. Boom.